Oof. Uh, 2009. Retired from sports, sitting in a hotel room in San Antonio, Texas, on the floor actually at the hotel room, and trying to figure out if I wanted to keep doing basketball. Um, and I realized I just didn't have it anymore. I didn't have the same passion. I didn't have the same drive. I've kind of felt like something in me was shifting. I couldn't really articulate it, and I knew I had to do something else. Little did I know that next 2 years would be rough, right? And that 2 years has positioned me for where I am at now. It was a rough 2 years. It was a really rough 2 years, but that decision, I think, was the right one to do. I just didn't really understand strategically how to make sure I prepared myself for that transition. So. First mistake, I didn't finish my degree while I was in college. The blessing is, obviously, I was able to go back and do it 14 years later. My God, think about that. Like that was, don't ever do that. I left with 12 credits, came back, had 36 credits to do because they revamped the entire department and requirements. Blessing is, I was able to get it done, but that 12 and 36 is a big difference, as everybody knows. And so that was one thing. The other part, I would say, I was so focused on my dream, I didn't necessarily maximize every opportunity, right? So we all have our ambitions, we all have our goals, we all have things we want to pursue, right? And we can become so kind of locked in on it that we don't see everything else that's going on around us. And so we miss other opportunities that could have happened or we could have been a part of. And in that piece, I kind of miss it a little bit. I think I wish I would have taken more advantage of the different organizations on my campus, and I probably would have pledged. There's different things I would have done differently just because I have the hindsight. Whereas in that moment, all I could see was my dream. Like I wasn't focusing on nothing, nobody. It was my dream or nothing, which I think helped me at that time. But long term, I think we're all the relationships we have, right? So your experience at your college, my experience at my college, it was all relationships, which go with you for the rest of your life. And the more relationships you have, the bigger your network, the more opportunities, and so forth and so on. It's hard, man. I will say basketball wasn't a passion of mine until probably 18 years old. Prior to that, I thought I was gonna join the military. And I grow a foot, so things change kind of fast. And I began seeing myself getting better and opportunities began presenting themselves. And once I saw potential, I was like, oh man, I can actually do something, right? And so I began going after it. I think a lot of times I would say it's hard to focus on your passion because you haven't been willing to step out of the boat. So, for example, I don't want to look silly. I don't want to get turned down. I don't want to get rejected. One of my great mentors, he gave me the quote of, Hank Aaron talking about the home runs and so forth. He was like, you know about the home runs? Absolutely, yeah, I know about the home runs. He was like, well, how many strikeouts does he have? I'm like, I don't know, who cares? He was like, look it up. So of course we had to Google, right? Google and see what it was. And he has like the most ever at that time. He had like strikeouts. So he was striking out as way more than he was hitting. But no one cared about the failures, right? They cared about the success. And I really believe that, rainbows follow storms, right? So if you're not willing to go through your own personal storm and journey of discovery, that's what I really think college is. Like, experience failure, right? And failure is only failure if you don't learn from it. Experience rejection. I always tell my young men, I like, shoot your shot. You like her? Shoot your shot. She say no, it is what it is, but at least you can never say you didn't try, right? Same thing for a dream. Like, if I desire to work at Lockheed Martin, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna submit my resume. I'm gonna try to connect with somebody on LinkedIn. shoot my shot, right? And I think a lot of times we don't do that because of fear, right? Projection is what it is. It's part of life, but you will never know unless you swing. I would say I was naive, right? So I got a little naiveness in me. That's even a word. I'll make up a word. To where I didn't really understand what failure could be because of the bubble I was raised in, right? So I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather. My grandmother never told me, no, you can't go pursue something. My grandmother never told me you couldn't be something. So if I told her I wanted to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, scientist, and I had straight Fs, she was like, you still can be it. That's just who she was, right? So I grew up believing almost in a fantasy-like sense that I could be anything, right? I can be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle if I wanted to, like a kid style, right? But with that being said, that same perspective traveled with me, right? So it was like, okay, you can be anything you want, but then my grandfather on the other side was like, yeah, you can be anything you want, but you gotta work. Right. And the beautiful thing about basketball was that it taught me how to work. Like I laugh at athletes and I tell them, like, you know, you want to be professional? Like, yeah, I want to be professional. Okay, great. So what's your work ethic? Are you up at 5? No, I don't get up at 5. Well, you don't want to be an athlete then. Like, don't tell me you want to be something if you're not willing to outwork the next man next to you, right? Same thing goes academically. If I want to be a 3.0 student, I'm a 2.5, it's my responsibility to get tutoring. Like, this is one of my favorite t-shirts I've seen some people wearing recently. No one cares, work harder.
Yeah.
No one cares. Like, and that sounds kind of sad, but that's the truth. Like, because everyone has a story. Everyone's going through something, right? And I think if you could find your passion, your motivation, your combination of almost like a childlike faith combined with a strong work ethic, I think a lot of possibilities can occur for your life if you're willing to put the effort in. Aim for the stars, miss, land on the clouds type of thing. So I don't know. That's just my perspective on that one. Yeah. So by playing basketball at 16 years old, I was behind. So most kids start playing basketball at 5. So athletically, my skill set grew, but I didn't reach the level of my dreams. My dream school in high school was University of Michigan. I wanted to be a part of the Fab Five. I thought that everything they did was cool, right? Michigan wasn't recruiting me at that time. At that time, Northern Illinois had offered me a scholarship, and Loyola Chicago had offered me a scholarship. And so I had to make a decision. We call it now reclassification, right? So now in the state of Maryland, people reclassify all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna graduate from high school at 17. So my reclassification would just make me an 18-year-old senior, which is normal. I made a decision that was counterproductive, or I guess not to the liking of my grandparents, because they didn't understand that. In her mind, graduating from high school was the most important thing, but my dream was still here, and I reclassified. I went and did it. I don't know how I did it to this day. I'm still trying to figure out like how that worked out. She signed the paper angrily, but that changed my life. That reclassification gave me another year of growth and maturity, and that level of maturity positioned me to where those scholarships and those dreams were able to position themselves for me. And so I sacrificed the opinions of others to pursue something in which no one else could see but me.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's a scary thing. I look back on it, I'm like, man, that was crazy.
That's huge.
That's
Nobody
crazy.
would do that. I mean, you're one in a million.
No, I don't know about that, but I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like that was, but like it's that, and that's the fear, right? So I have 2 sons now, and I'm like, I think from a parent perspective, how would I react if they were to do something similar, right? So it's that, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I would lose it. Like, I would lose
Not
it.
signing the papers.
Not at all. Like, you ain't going where? Reclassify. You better graduate. Like, but it's now. But then now, I guess also my sons have a bit of me. So I have to respect it as well. So UNLV, I got to UNLV thinking I would be in college for 1 year and go pro. My head coach was fired before the school year started my freshman year. New guy comes in, replaces him. Don't play very much my freshman year. Don't play very much my sophomore year. My junior year, I start for the first couple games and don't really play very much well my junior year. And a lot of nights of getting in my car, the angry little tear coming down your face in the car, just because your dreams are here and your reality is here, right? And I think a lot of times our dreams are here. I want to be the first, you want to graduate college, I want to be the first millionaire in my family. I want to buy my first home at 24. I want to get married. It's all so many different things. We have our own goals, but our reality doesn't line up with where our goals are. And that part was really hard for me. That first 3 years was humbling. It was very humbling. But it was also, I think, a test of whether I really believed in myself or not. Because like when you say you want something, it's one thing when everything is rosy. It's another thing when everything is horrible. Everyone wants to be married until they hear about those first 3 years of marriage and that adjustment of being in that household, right? Or you hear about having the pleasures and the beautiful thing, and I love being a dad. But that first couple 6 months of that baby was real. Like, it was real. I love my kids more than anything on this earth. I think a dad is the greatest thing for me to ever be on this earth. But that first 6 months, it tested me in ways that I know I could be tested, you know? And I think those are things that can really push you, or it can bust your pipe. You know, that pressure busts pipes, so creates diamonds, that motto. I think that's kind of the situation there, so. Go to college on a full-ride scholarship. That's what my priority was. At 18, I wanted to go to the University of Michigan, and I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship offer from the University of Michigan, but I chose University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And so that's all I really cared about, wanted a scholarship, wanted to go to scholarship. And I didn't really even understand what that meant. Didn't know what student loans were, didn't know what FAFSA was, didn't really even understand what clearinghouse was. And there was so many aspects of the educational journey that I didn't know, and I didn't have anyone else to tell me, because for my immediate family, I'm a first generational college grad for my immediate family. And so I was trying to blaze a trail that no one could kind of tell me the navigation of how to go through it. So it was a lot of, okay, well, try this. This person said this, okay, let's try this. And thank God it all kind of came together. But it was a lot of spit, paste, and bubble gum to keep the plane in the air, but it worked. And I'm very blessed for that, man. I'm very humble, but I'm very thankful for it. Very, very thankful. Got me going down memory lane here.
Good. So I'm guessing your number of priority changed when you actually got the goal. You know,
I would say, so once I got the scholarships, then the goal changed to let's become a pro. Right. And made the statement without really understanding what I was saying. Because I didn't understand the business of sports. And so I didn't understand so many other intricacies that go into becoming a professional athlete. And so I had to go down that journey. And that's where the journey where I tell everyone this, every level you go to in your life, there's a foundation. The reality of it is past foundations can't support new buildings. So if I was an honor roll student and I studied a certain way in high school, that doesn't necessarily translate to college. The same thing goes if you graduate from honors from your college from Morgan State and you go into corporate America. No one cares that you're an honor student at Morgan State. They care what can you do for my organization. And so literally you have to prove yourself over again and create a new foundation that now builds your success in that corporation. Then you transition to another company. They give you more money because they see what you've done in the past, but you still have no foundation in that company. And so now you have to create that same legacy there. And I think that part is the harder part, like understanding that every level you have to create a foundation to be built upon. And if you don't, then your house gonna crumble. That's hard. The best quote I ever heard from Sean Combs, P. Diddy said, "Your emotions will have you broke." And when he said it, I'm like, man, that's real. And so you start thinking about the decisions, like, I'm at a party, someone bumps into me, I respond back to that person steps to me, I swing on that person, and I knock that person out, and I get locked up for assault and kicked off campus. Literally, and that happens on every college campus every year, particularly around homecoming, right?
Right.
And so you think about that, or I think about I'm in the car and I'm riding down the road, minding my own business. I got Christian music on, so I'm in a place of peace.
Right.
Someone cuts me off. I get road rage to go around the car to go cut that person off. That person hits my car and spins me out of control in the middle of traffic. I get hit by another car. Like those lack of control, I think your emotions can send you in so many different ways. And I think if you're not careful, you find yourself missing out on opportunities because either you control your emotions or your emotions will control you. Passion is an uncontrollable emotion. That's the very definition, right? And so purpose is something with a definite chief aim, right? So you're taking an uncontrollable emotion to give you energy to aim towards something in which you know what the outcome can be, right? So passion to purpose. But I think the passion side of me, that's who I am, right? I'm all or nothing. I don't know how to do halfway. I'm all in or I'm all out. With that though, I've learned with a little time on how to not overwhelm or overexpose my true nature to people without knowing who they are, right? So naturally, I'm the person, if I'm your friend all the way in. Like, hey, you need gas, I got you. You need this, I got you. Like and I expect the same in return. Like who cares? It's money. That's little stuff, right? But I've learned over time to control that, right? So control my emotions, control my responses, not allow someone else to have that much power over me to where they can control me through my emotions, right? I always crack jokes when people say they're in love, right? I'm like, okay, great. Especially my high school students. Like my high school students, like you can't tell them nothing. Like that freshman love is real to them. And I always say, well, I get it, but go for a ride with that person across the country in the car. See how that work out. Go from here to California together and come back. And if y'all still in love when you get back, it's real. If not, it's puppy love. And I think that side of it, the emotions and the control of it, because truth be told, we all have triggers, right? We all have things that can push us into a place. I'll put it like this, I'm gonna stop there. Someone told me even the softest person can become a killer if you touched the wrong person in their life. So you look at Mama Bear and you touch her cub, what happens? She comes after you viciously because that's her baby, right? The same thing goes with other people, right? You have to be able to make sure you're not putting yourself in a position because of your emotions that now has an outcome that you can't get out of. Right. And I think that's a hard thing. I try to stay away from certain things because I know what's the possibility of it. And I know what my response will be to certain things. Hence why I always start with respect with people. Right. But yeah, I don't know. That's a kind of ramble with that one. Whew. That's like the chief old age wisdom question, right? Yeah. Going back to biblical days, right?
You're Mr. President.
No, man, that's I will say one of the best books I ever read on it was by Rick Warren, On Purpose. And I think that book offers a lot of perspective. One of the things I've learned in pursuing my personal purpose is that there is no one shoe fits all. Some kids know it off top, right? Somebody knows they want to be a doctor at 6. Literally, like they know it. Like, I'm gonna be a doctor. Like, man, how you know that at 6? Like, seriously know it. And then there's some that won't realize it till they're 35. And I think it's like a gumbo. Like, I don't know how many people cook or whatever, but the best gumbo I've ever had was of ingredients and seasonings that they couldn't tell you exactly what they did. They just took a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, put it all together, let it soak, let it marinate, season set in. Like, man, this is great. What'd you do? I don't know. You know, and I think that's how purpose oftentimes what happens, where you're pursuing something and it sneaks up on you. And you're like, man, I really love this. Like, I really love this. I think a lot of times we struggle to find our purpose because we pursue things that, I would say we pursue money, hoping that it provides us the joy that only purpose can bring. So if I'm chasing a dollar, I could never find purpose. But if I chase things that bring me joy, right? So as a young kid, I was the kid that got in a lot of trouble for butting into other people's stuff, right? Because I wanted to help other people. I've always been that kid. The things that you've done as a child oftentimes leads to who you can be as an adult, right? So I always tell, when I see someone who likes to debate, I say, man, you got a career in law if you can do it. I see a person who's creative and curious, the person who wants to take apart computers and cameras and all of these things, that's an engineer. And I think a lot of times we stifle those things because it's not what we think they should be doing, as opposed to looking at it and saying, okay, their mind's working a certain way for a certain reason, right? And there are certain things that will gravitate to their interest because of the way their mind works. People who natural with kids, like literally, you're like, man, you are great with kids. Like this little, like they had their dolls walking with them, boys and girls, like literally, they were just great with kids, right? And I think a lot of times, instead of cultivating that, we stifle that growth, or we just say it's a phase, instead of looking and saying, man, there's something about them that's gravitating towards this way. Why? Let's help expose them to more in that area. Let's help them figure out what's the possibilities. I tell kids, if you're great at math, let's look at careers in accounting, finance, actuarial science, human resources. Let's look at it, because if you're great at math, there's a reason you like math.
Right.
It's a reason you like history. It's a reason you like different things. So. Compartmentalize, prioritize, and time management. The first thing you learn in college is time management, if you want to be successful, right? Because this is the first time in your life you have freedom, right? That 2 classes a day or 3 classes a day, and the rest of the day is yours. If you're sleeping all day, you can be out of that class and that school within a month or 2, right? December's gonna come, they're gonna give you probation, and then you're gonna be going home. I think prioritizing what's important to you. I have like a list of my priorities, right? So most people put them out and they say, God, family, business, money, whatever it may be. They write it on paper. One of the things that me and one of my good friends do, we're called accountability partners. And so we check in probably every few weeks, seeing where we stand. Like, okay, this is your list, this was your priorities. Where has your time been spent? So if you say God's your priority, you ain't praying, you lying. Right? You say family's important and your son had a game and you didn't go to it because you were tired, you lying. So it's a way of keeping us on point. And I think real friends hold people accountable, like not disrespecting each other. We don't get into that nonsense. But at the same time, like, yo, bro, like you told me you want to do this, right? So what's this right here? And being man enough to admit, you know what? I'm not doing it right now. And I think that key is, it's helped a lot. I will say for me, success is an ever moving object. I'm trying to pursue something that I think will always be changing. So like for me, success is reaching 10 million kids in my lifetime, right? I say that now, right? And then we talk 5 years from now, and it'd be a completely different thing. Because it's a constant moving process. Whether I get it or not, who knows? But I'm in business to put myself out of business.
Right.
And if I do my job right, hopefully I inspire the next generation that they'll do it even more than I did. That's what I hope. Keep this ball moving. because we all need each other in some capacity or another. Oof. So my team is interesting, man, and it's, like I say, like it was one of those like my team literally was like fell in my lap. Like when I say it was like my first company, I wanted to go, put job recruiters and all this stuff. The company wasn't even making no money, so I probably couldn't afford nobody. But I felt like I had to build this team. I had to have all these marketing materials, and I'm buying all this stuff, and nothing did happen, right? And Create Passion and Purpose LLC never looked for a team, and a team found me. My graphical design person found me, who I've been with now for 7 years. My videographer and editor found me, been with him now 4 years. My marketing person has done it. My account, it's so many. My lawyer I've now had for 4 years. It's people in which I never went to recruit, but when I need them, it's like almost divine intervention kicked in. It sounds kind of crazy. I'm not trying to be overly spiritual here, but it really was like, man, like, okay, thank you. Oh, okay. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I can't afford you, but it's like, don't worry about it. As you grow, we got you. I'm like, you all right? Like, what's your hustle? What's your angle? Like, cause I'm from Chicago, so my mind, like, what you trying to do? Like, and slowly but surely, they've grown with me, man. So now, I would honestly say, having people who will invest with you before you ever blow up. So invest with you from the ground, so as you blow up, don't forget that, because they're gonna annoy you in that growth process, because some of them will grow as fast as you, some of them will not. And remember that, though. But remember those that were loyal to you when no one else was. Remember those that spent time in office when nobody else wanted to be there, right? And you weren't paying them. I think that's extremely important. I think also finding those who can see and embrace your vision. Everybody can. And that was the hardest thing I think I came to terms with. If God wanted everybody to embrace my vision, he would have gave it to them and not me. The same way I tell people, if God wanted your family to be millionaires, he would have gave your money to them and not to you. It's your responsibility to steward what he gave you, not them. And I think that part is hard to accept, but it's real, because no one will ever work your business like you, because it's your baby, right? And so having realistic expectations of everyone, understanding that even those who embrace the vision may not see it as far as you, understanding that everyone in your team may be with you for a reason, season, or a lifetime, and you love them all, and you respect them all, and you help them all as much as you can. And then lastly, those that are willing to work your business like it's theirs. I love hearing when, for example, my videographer just started his own company. I was his first contract. And I shared with him, like, hey, absolutely. Because I know I can't stifle you. Like, you have to grow into who you are, right? But I'm still gonna keep you. I said, I'm still paying my old rate too. I like to have to tell me, I know you're gonna be big time, don't forget the little people. But it's those things that I think create family, right? Because at the end of the day, those on my team are nothing more than extended family. Blood you don't choose, friends is the family you get to choose, right? And so the colleagues I look for are those that fit the vision. We argue, we disagree, we butt heads, but iron only sharpens iron, right? And I expect them to have criticism. I expect them to challenge me on things. And at the end of the day, it's gonna fall on me, but I need to hear their perspectives. Because if I become so one-dimensional and think I know everything, that's the point where I realize I know nothing. So, Passion and Purpose is the company. Website is past2purpose.com. Social media, definitely if you're interested in internships, scholarships, mentoring, Omari Pearson at Instagram, Omari Pearson at Twitter, and Omari.Pearson at LinkedIn. So go from there.
Awesome.
All right. I appreciate Appreciate you.
Great.
Appreciate you.
And that's a wrap.
All right.